Pokemon Horizons is probably one of the most interesting series we've ever got. Currently, it's the newest ongoing Pokemon series being produced and watched. Well, at least some people are watching. Although before I jump on that, let's first give people a little background on the current state of the Pokemon anime, cause let's face it, the anime is no longer what it used to be. What do I mean by this though? Well, if you've been living under a rock, then you may not have heard that Ash is not only the champion of the world, beating the former #1 trainer Leon, he also got booted from the show. Like, Ash is gone. He's no longer in the anime. Which, for some, that's great news. They've been waiting a long time for Ash to be replaced by a new protagonist. Yet for others, that was like killing off their favorite character. For them, it's no Ash, no Pokemon anime, which, let's be honest, it's kind of reasonable. Ash has been around for more than 25 years and is one of the most beloved fictional characters of all time. So I understand why some people don't want to watch the anime anymore since their favorite character is now basically gone from the show. On the other hand, Ash has been in here for so long, he's basically done everything a Pokemon trainer like him could do. Ash's original goal was to become a Pokemon master, and in order to be a master, you have to not only be very knowledgeable, but also have plenty of hands-on experience. And for Ash, that was to beat everyone else in a Pokemon battle, which eventually, of course, he did become a master at that, as he's now the world champion. So, since he completed his main goal of blowing up and acting like he doesn't know nobody anymore, what then should Pokemon do with Ash? Send him to the DLCs? Well, if you want to see Ash do the DLCs, go watch the Pokemon movies. Go watch any Pokemon series where Ash isn't battling. He's either doing or witnessing everything that a Pokemon trainer like him could do. You know, we're tired of that. Pokemon knew this and they booted him off the show, and in doing that, they risked kind of their whole identity. It's like getting rid of Naruto in Naruto. So here we are today with Pokemon Horizons, a brand new experience in the same Pokemon world we've come to know and love, but with a completely new direction and cast of characters. Not a single character has been transferred over yet from any of the past series with Ash. This means brand new stories to tell. You know, I wanted to make this video so I can talk about Pokemon Horizons, but we still have to go over the overriding question, and that is the sort of phenomenon that is taking place right now, which is nobody, meaning casual Pokemon fans, are watching Pokemon Horizons. Yes, while the diehard Pokemon anime viewers like myself are watching this new series, the general fan base of Pokemon is either not watching this at all or hasn't heard that there is a new series without Ash. I mean, which is kind of crazy, you know. Ash and Pikachu being the literal mascot of the franchise, aren't even the world's longest running anime anymore. And if you don't believe me that casual fans aren't watching the newest Pokemon anime, then let me give you some data proving that Horizons is being, well, quite slept on. Let's start with the obvious Google Trends, where we can see any search word's overall popularity. And you can see this chart I've set back to the past 5 years with the words Pokemon Anime, Pokemon Journeys, and our current series Pokemon Horizons. Now, already we can see that during Pokemon Journeys' reign, it was up almost double what Horizons has now, and Pokemon Horizons isn't a new series anymore. It's been out for like 3 years, so while Pokemon Journeys spiked when Ash was in his final episodes, we're pretty much at that point with Horizons today, and you can see it's definitely not as high as Journeys. Even if they didn't have a spike, Horizons is still much lower. In a nutshell, less people are watching Pokemon Horizons than Journeys by about 50%, and if graphs isn't your thing, then think about it like this. Do you know any of your casual Pokemon friends watching this series? Do they know anything even about Pokemon Horizons? I'm gonna assume that the answer is probably not. Maybe if they have a Netflix account, they might have seen a few episodes on there, which honestly, that's a whole other reason why the anime is kind of dying off, but that's a bit of a separate topic. I'm just gonna say, generally nobody knows the newest Pokemon anime exists, and if they did, they're probably not watching it, which is kind of a shame, as Pokemon Horizons is widely considered, not even just by me, to be the best Pokemon series Pokemon has ever made. And yeah, that's coming from someone whose whole channel is talking about Ash in the glory days of the Pokemon anime. Objectively speaking, Horizons is just better overall than its predecessors. The animation, the writing, the characters, story, villains. Now, that is not to say that what we got in the past is bad in any way, since I love so much of what we've got in the past with series like XY, Sun and Moon, Diamond and Pearl, even the original series are all amazing. But Pokemon Horizons just does the whole Pokemon world building better in my opinion. Nostalgia aside, all bias aside, it is doing better. Now sure, it's not perfect, none of the series were, even XY, yet overall what we've seen so far, Horizons rarely misses and stays very consistent. So while the show may be overlooked, under the radar, hated even because it doesn't feature Ash anymore, more, Pokemon Horizons absolutely delivers in almost peak Pokemon writing for a Pokemon show and almost peak for a more mature-ish anime, as Horizons tackles some subjects that you likely wouldn't expect from your traditional Pokemon show, especially when it comes to Dot's character and the villains. For example, Dot, one of the 3 new main characters, goes from being self-isolated, extremely introverted, and not being able to talk to anyone as their genuine self, to actually being able to go outside, explore the world, sometimes even on her own, and reveal more of herself as the series goes on. All, of course, thanks to our new main protagonists, Liko and Roy. The other more serious stuff that happens in this series, which is my favorite, the villains of this show, actually act like a serious, organized, threatening threat with lots of layers to explore, no pun intended. An example is in Season 3, the bad guys literally blackmailing our main characters into isolation and fooling the world to believe they are the good guys and giving the people weaponized objects of war to play around with while they set up their main objective, which honestly is a huge step up from the past villain organizations. And yeah, sometimes they can be goofy like Team Rocket, but these villains are just absolutely peak Pokemon, and I love that. Now, the new protagonists are of course great too. Liko and Roy are like a good mix between Ash's best qualities with their own goals and quirks. Dot is a third wheel who is also cool as she gets a lot of development throughout the show, and Freed's like the Professor Kukui of the series, major dad vibes and one of the best characters in the show. The other members of the Rising Volt Tacklers are all decent. They each play their own special role in making the group feel like an actual group of adventurers who know what they're doing and can be very helpful and comedic. Basically exactly what you'd want from side characters for the show. Horizons reminds me a lot of early Ninjago and gives me major One Piece vibes, even though I haven't even seen One Piece. The whole traveling with a band of characters on a giant boat airship, going on treasure hunt like adventures just sounds like One Piece. I could be wrong, so let me know if you watch both series. They definitely kind of sound similar. And yeah, I did mention treasure hunting because early on that's what we see, and granted it's not for the whole series, but it's definitely more adventure themed than any of the past Pokemon series. Which is cool because they still battle gym leaders in Elite Four just like in previous series, but it's not your typical fighting 8 gyms and competing in a league like Ash. I think only one of the characters we see actually has the goal to become the strongest trainer, which I think is fine since they still battle a lot. Sometimes the battles are as good as the XY battles even, although sometimes they can be like the original series battles that go very slow. I've definitely seen some of the slow motion battles in Horizons, but that's usually since it's a less important battle. It is still a minor gripe though. Horizons has a mix of all of the goodness that we like from the Pokemon anime and packages it nicely with the new they're giving us, especially with more of the emphasis focused on adventure. It's for sure one of the best things about this anime for me, other than the characters and battles of course. So the fact we're getting more of that here than any other series is great because we get amazing characters, villains, battles, and storylines. Now, storylines are kind of rare in the Pokemon anime, as the only thing you could really call a storyline in the past was arcs, that being league arcs, character arcs, or villain arcs. For example, Ash's Kanto League and other league runs, May's contest arcs, Team Galactic and Hunter J, the Team Flare arc, the Aether Foundation arc with Lily and Gladion's mom, Project Mew and Journeys. All of that is story arcs slash storylines we've gotten in the past throughout each series, but typically we mainly get Ash's league run and either villain arcs or his companions have something going on. Now, I feel like every episode there's a storyline at play. Yes, there are still a lot of filler episodes for sure. Don't even get me started on that Stunfisk episode. But overall, more is happening in Horizons, and it's better now that each arc for the most part is connecting with the overall story of Horizons. And it's interesting. Project Mew was not interesting. The Darkest Day arc was kind of a bump in the road. The only thing interesting about Pokemon Journeys was Ash fighting in the Masters 8 and the return of previous characters. So while the quality of the Pokemon anime rose, the viewership did not. I am aware that Pokemon Horizons is more popular outside of the US, like in Japan, since it's more accessible and that's, where Pokemon comes from, so obviously they're more likely to watch it there. However, overall, Pokemon Horizons, even 3 years since its debut, is still one of, if not the least watched Pokemon series of all time. Now, what do I think about that? Well, something popular definitely does not equal good. However, I do understand why it's at that state that it's in. If Pokemon continues to deliver us this good of quality and makes it more accessible to watch outside Japan, then yeah, give it enough time and Pokemon will be right back to where they stood. But as of now, it's likely to remain like this. Unless of course Ash makes a return, then the graph should spike like crazy, but Pokemon is in its rebuilding phase. Not to be confused for rebranding, as their core identity of Pokemon isn't lost, it's just the characters who started it all, Ash and Pikachu. So you who haven't watched Horizons yet, should you start watching? Well, to that, I'd have to say, look, it's pretty good. We have back-to-back episodes again, no episodic chaos like Journeys, we have coherent storytelling, great new characters who are interesting and charming, and the best villains other than Team Rocket, I guess. But seriously, these new characters are actually really good. If you're a fan of the old anime and not just riding off nostalgia, which I'm aware is probably the majority of us watching on YouTube, you're gonna have a good time with this one. So yes, I would say that you should consider watching this because Pokemon Horizons is very good. If you've enjoyed my rant, then consider subscribing to our channel as we're nearing 99,994 subscribers, and anything to help us get there would be very much appreciative. Plus, you might be interested in some of my other rant videos on Pokemon. So with that being said, I'll see you all later. Bye bye.